GoLocal Columnist Rob Horowitz, thanks for coming to the new set here. This is the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. What do you think?
I think it's great. I don't know what I expected, but it's great. It well exceeded my expectations.
Now, did you expect the camera? And we'll have to show viewers how small the camera is someday. It's a small little camera.
It's very small, which makes it much less intimidating.
Yeah, so it's more like a conversation. We've had some great interviews so far. Governor in this week, who's out in California right now. Lots afoot politically, and especially with UHIP and what's been going on. But wanted to talk with you. I pulled up a few of your columns here that I wanted to talk with you about because they're always a great read. You know, we always have such a diverse array of voices on GoLocal, from the left to the right. But the one that really struck me recently was you're talking about the Republicans and the carbon tax and how maybe there might be common ground on this. So talk to me a little bit about this.
Yes, in a sea of what's been, I think, a blizzard, and as you know, Kate, I tend to be on the Democratic side of that.
Yes, full disclosure.
And sort of full shock of the Donald Trump experience, which I don't think you have to be a Democrat to be experiencing full shock right now, and a lot of the setbacks and a lot of watching somebody we have, what I call as a man in the White House, a little president in some ways, but I think there's an opportunity here, opportunity for the president and an opportunity for everyone to reach common ground. A bunch of Republicans, admittedly yesterday's Republicans, but very powerful yesterday's Republicans, Baker being the prime one, Hank Paulson, former Secretary of the Treasury, Martin Feldstein, who was economic advisor under Ronald Reagan. I put forward a carbon tax as a way to deal with climate change. The research shows that actually if you can get the right pricing, and what a carbon tax is it just puts a price on all the carbon emitted from fossil fuels, that you can actually reduce greenhouse gas emissions by more than all the regulations Obama's put in place. And since some of those, I think, unfortunately, are going by the wayside, this could be a way to really reach common ground, keep our commitments to the world in terms of the agreement we made in Paris, and also be a master political stroke for Donald Trump, who could really show he's going to build a different kind of coalition. He's already a different kind of Republican in certain ways that I think are maybe unappetizing, but there'd be a way he could be, in a positive sense, a different kind of Republican. And I think it was great to see this true act of statesmanship by a bunch of Republicans who sort of apply free market principles to solving the climate change problem.
Have you seen any indications out of the Trump White House about appetite to address this issue?
I think it's a long shot. I mean, what you have to work with is that, and I think they're serious about it, is both Ivanka Trump, his daughter, and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, very influential with the president, are very much environmentalists. And I think it's a little more than just sort of branding or marketing. So Baker and a couple other of his gang met with him last week. They met with the vice president. It's still a long shot. It's going to be a tough fight in Congress simply because you have the Koch brothers and you have the special interests. On the other hand, the plan's pretty clever, and it provides, it's sort of based a little bit on what they do in Alaska with oil money. So you get monthly dividends up to, like, every family is going to get $2,000 back. For 70% of families, they're going to save money on the deal. And so it's very clever politically because you can give a pretty big rebate.
So interesting. I did take that, you know, as you said, you come from the left, and to read that and see that it's a great read. So go on GoLocal, check it out, Rob Horowitz, Google that and climate change, carbon tax, and can read that interesting read. And you kind of touched upon a part that you had written a column about that I wanted to talk about. It was around New Year's. You said signs for optimism in the new year. Now, it was a kind of a catchy headline coming from a staunch Democrat after having gone through the election. So what had gone through your brain as to what to be optimistic about?
And I'm going to have to try to remember this because I probably had my New Year's Eve experience after that. but what I try to do every year is write because news by definition is usually not the good stuff that's going on, but there's still a lot of great stuff going on in the world. There's a lot of great stuff going on in Rhode Island. I think it's important for all of us that are sort of writing things, talking about things, and covering things to point some of that out, so that people get a real rounded view, not just a negative view. I think one of the things was Governor Raimondo's, I think, excellent job on economic development, which has really been boosting the state, I believe, and starting to and it's got a long way to go, but starting to put Rhode Island on the right path economically.
That was one of the things. Do you feel optimistic at the state level, nationwide?
I feel very optimistic on the state level. about where we are headed. You can see if you combine what she's doing economically, what she thinks really smart, it's based on best practices and evidence on what's worked in other places, and we're seeing big companies start to locate here, and you put that together also with the plan for free college tuition. Now it's still expensive room and board. I know it's somebody's got a 20-year-old, and I live from tuition payment to tuition payment, Kate. But I think you put those two things together, because the key in the new economy is education, having a trained workforce. You can see a path to success here and a real direction. And I think she's doing on that score. She's doing everything she said she's doing. It's real smart, and I think you can see movement in the state, and the state on the right track. On the national level, it's hard to be incredibly optimistic right now. Anyone I think who observed the first 2 or 3 weeks of the Trump administration, not anyone, because he certainly has his hardcore fans. Well, by the way, his approval today, 39. But he does have his hardcore fans. You've got to be concerned. But I have faith that ultimately, we have strong democratic institutions, and there's checks and balances. And I think at the end of the day, we'll be just fine. But it's been a shakedown cruise.
Now, what do you have to say? We had former Governor Lincoln Chafee on yesterday, who wasn't a fan of what he called, as you support, he said, the corporate welfare policies, which he didn't. What do you have to say to those folks that think that the money's just too big to be throwing at billion-dollar companies, and the price tag for each job is very heavy? What do you have to say? There's folks out there that have been
Sure.
critical of the governor's policies on this. What's your response to that?
Well, if you're going to be unless there's a national ban on that stuff, if you're going to be in the economic development business as a state, Massachusetts does it, other states do it, you're going to be at a competitive disadvantage, and since Rhode Island has other competitive disadvantages, you're not going to be able to compete. So I think the governor's point about it is fair, is the first few are going to be more expensive, because you're getting people to locate, then you create momentum from it. But she's targeted into the right areas. It's not like she's just throwing money at things. And if you look at the cost-benefit analysis, GoLocal did some good work on the exaggerated, I think you may have done it,
Yes.
on the exaggerated job claims. But even putting that into the mix, it's putting us in the right direction in the industries that you want to try to grow in. And if you're Rhode Island and you're back of the pack, you got to take some risks. And I think these are sensible, prudent risks. The guy who's the commerce director, I believe, is Pryor.
Stephen Pryor, yeah.
I know just because I do a lot of work in New Jersey, very successful in Newark, not an easy place to be successful, with a similar strategy. So I think it's got a proven track record.
And how do you think the governor's chances are looking, let's say, ahead into 18? Looking back, let's look at the election in the primary here, where you had a Bernie Sanders defeat Hillary Clinton here in the Rhode Island primary, and obviously the governor had supported Hillary Clinton. What do you see as a breakdown? How do you see the party shaping up? Do you think she'll get a challenge from the left?
I think it's very possible she will. I think she'll be very formidable in the primary, and certainly a very heavy favorite. And I don't think this is why necessarily she's doing it, although, is it Tolstoy or Dostoevsky? I know it's not public TV, I think I can do that. People have a multiplicity of motivations. I think that things like the that free college tuition helps in terms of that score. I think she's going to be just fine in the primary. I think it'll be a competitive re-elect, but I'd bet on her. Remember, she won in a very close race.
Do you think we'll see Clay Pell again?
I think we may see Clay Pell. I think we're certainly going to see Clay Pell again for something. For a chief executive office, candidly, that wouldn't. He doesn't have the background for that, I don't think, or he doesn't come across as a chief executive officer. I think he's probably a stronger congressional candidate or U.S. Senate candidate. This would be my gut. He did very well for his first time out.
He did.
Probably cost my guy, Angel Tavares, who was my candidate in that race. That consultant probably cost my guy
The full disclosure. I like the spirits of full disclosure over
so
here.
I'm not all that bitter, just slightly bitter.
Well, all eyes are on 18 here. Obviously, it's we're kind of already in cycle, and there's one other column you wrote recently that I wanted to ask you about. It was the different media worlds of Trump voters and Clinton voters, and literally you can find that on GoLocal and see what Rob had to say. But talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's really what's emerged, and it's a real problem. And it's not just Trump and Clinton voters; it's liberals and conservatives. Is with all the great things like GoLocal, for example, in the online world and all the different information we can get today, and people self-select. So what happens is, particularly in a polarized world, is people that tend to be liberal, they go to HuffPost, they watch MSNBC. People that tend to be conservative, they watch Fox News, they go to Breitbart, or they go to National Review online, and we consume very different media. We also live in neighborhoods that are, for a lot of reasons we don't have time to get into right now, that where people don't choose to live on the east side because they're liberals, but because urban folk like, liberals like urban amenities, they tend to move there. More conservative folks like more land, they like to be more out in the suburbs. So there's a Bill Bishop wrote a book called The Big Sword about this, that America is hiving. It's tough to have a conversation when your information sources are so divorced, we don't even agree on the same set of facts. And the Trump and Clinton voters, you can see the same thing. So we're kind of all talking past each other. But what I'm optimistic about is the technology actually gives us a way to talk to each other. We gotta just figure out how to do it.
And we do it oftentimes. I like to sometimes call it a padded room of social media with folks who like to sort of go at it with each other. But always thought-provoking columns. And as we said, we like to here at GoLocal have a wide range of opinion writers and political views from that standpoint. And Rob Horowitz is always a great read. So I appreciate your coming in today. Look forward to talking about future columns with you down the road, and wish you a good start to the beginning of the weekend. We have one more surprise guest around that corner, so I'll welcome him on, and thank you for your time today.
It was great.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Rob.
Great.
Look forward to having you.
See you, Kate.
And then